Good everyone. I hope you guys have an amazing day. So what I'll do today, I will talk about CPQ Advanced Approval Process. So CPQ Advanced Process Approval Process is the last topic for the certification. So after that, we are pretty much done. So why do we need a CPQ Advanced Approval Process, right? Because you must be wondering, we already have an inbuilt Salesforce approval process. Well, think about a scenario, right? Let's say you have approved, um, say you wanted to approve an expense, right? So you submitted an expense report, and let's say your expense is pretty expensive, right? It's like, well, let's say 60 grand, and it has to go to say four levels of approval, say approval one, approval two, approval three, approval four. Now, let's say an approval, the third person got the person who rejected the third person rejected your expense, right? And they asked you to do some kind of modification, and you did some kind of modification and sent for approval. Now imagine what happens, right? It has to go through the approval one, approval two, approval three, right? Now Salesforce CPQ has something called Smart Approval Process, which remembers the people who have been approved, so you don't have to go through those people. So you just have to bypass. You can bypass those two approvers, and then you can go straight away to the person who rejected it. That's one thing, and also another thing is that you can actually see in a very nice looking UI the people who will be approving your say codes or opportunity. It's the list of approvals, so it's pretty nice to have that look and feel. So it will give you an indication where it's heading based on what, right? So before you start using CPQ advanced approval stuff, right, you need to install a package. So for that, you need to go to install.steelbrick.com. And once you go here, what you have to do is that you come down, right, and then look for advanced approval, and then you install based on production or sandbox where it is, right? So once that is installed, what you can do, you can go to your org, and you can go to the setup, and um, and once you do that, and you can go to install package, okay, and then take some time, um, and you can see that advanced approval here, right? So you can look at the configuration option, and so I just wanted to tell you that once you do that, so this is how it looks like, and then you have a dual desk settings and kind of stuff. We're not worried about that. Just wanted to show you guys that this thing has been installed. Now, once you install it, you may not be able to use it directly out of box because you might have to configure a few stuff. So I'll just go through from the help documentation because it's there in the help. So first thing first, you need to create a few fields on an approval object. So you go here. Let's do that one by one. Let's have a look at it. So you go here to the setup, and so you go to the approval. So object manager. This is pretty basic, right? You could just I will put the link in the description below. Don't worry about it. So you go to the approval. So now you can see why I'm seeing SP, right? Because it's steel brick. That's why. So you go to the approval object, and you just need to create a lookup for the code. Once you do that, I've already done that, so just showing you guys how it works. So I've already created a code lookup, right? So you might have to do that, and then so what I'll do, I'll close this one, yeah, and then so you have to after that you go to code object, then you create a another field called approval status, and then you create a date field called submitted date. Then you create a submitted user, and after that you need to create an Apex class and copy this code. Right, this one is pretty simple if you don't know how to create it. Apex class is pretty simple. So what do? You can do two ways, right? One, you can go to the developer console, and it's I'll show you anyway. So you go to developer console and just go to file, or you can create it using come on, never mind. All right, it's stuck. Sometimes it does that. So hang on a second. Let me. Okay. For whatever reason. Okay. All right. No. Oh, come on. Sorry. So you go to File and you go to New Apex class, right? And that's one way. You can go Visual Studio Code. That's my favorite approach. You create a class in Visual Studio Code. But if you're not comfortable with using Git, or if you're not comfortable using Visual Studio Code, that's fine. Um, Go to File, create new Apex class, and um, and then copy this code. So when you create an Apex class, right, please make sure you keep the name of the class to this code extension controller, and then copy this code, right? And similarly, you might have to create another class, which is a test class, give this name, and copy the code, right? So, and then after you do that, you might have to create a advanced approval buttons, okay? So which is pretty simple. So I'm pretty sure you guys know how to create it. But so before that, you just have to create a Visualforce page. So what do you have to do? So you just go here to the setup, and you go to the Visualforce page, and then you just create a new, right? When you create a new, for the name, just keep this, submit a code, and then after that, in the body, just copy paste this one. Similarly, you need to create another Visualforce page. Just type these two names. That's pretty cool, right? And then copy this content. I've already done so that's why I can't really do this step. And then you might need to create a new button. So it's pretty cool, right? You just go to the object, which is the code object, and then create a new button and link it to the Visualforce page. I'll put the link in the description below. Please go through it. It's very simple to follow. It's not a rocket science. It's few clicks, few things, right? Because I believe since you're doing CPQ certification, you will be fairly comfortable how to create a new button, right? So I assume so. Okay. All right. So that's done. Okay. And then what you have to do, you have to create a page layout. So which is pretty cool. So just go to the codes, right? Just open the code and then add the buttons to your page layout. Okay, that's all you have to do. So I've done that. Everything is done. So what I'll do now, I have to go through certain steps. So obviously, when you talk about approval, right, you need approver. Obviously, someone has to approve, right? Then the approval condition, right? And approval rules. Okay, so I'll show you each one by one the process. So uh, after you install the package, right, and after you do all the step, right, what do you have to do? Just go here um, and just type approver, okay, and then let's create an approver here. So what I'll do, I will create something called um, the finance approver. So I will link this user, David Muller, and I that's pretty much I have to do, right? You can also create a delegated approver if someone is away, so you can assign that approver as well. Or if you wanted to give a group, right? So you can give the group ID here as well. So yeah, and you can also do the delegated approver start date and end date. So this is pretty flexible, right, based on your requirement. So you can configure it. It's very handy. So I'll save it. So I created this approver. Now, if I go to the related list, I have a few things I have to worry about. One is approver rules. So approver rules is where I will create my rule on an object. So what I'll say, partner discount over, yeah, over 10%, right? Target object, you can choose opportunity or code. So if for whatever reason, right, if you can't find this code, so what you can do, so let's close it, right? And just go back to this setup. Yeah, sorry. So you go to the approval rule, right? And then what you can do, um, so if I go new, so go to the target object. Um, Let me close this Visual Force page, right? And I go to the field and relationship, and I close this one because it's all over the place and it's confusing, I guess. So I go to target object, and it's a pick list, right? And in that pick list, add the name of the object you wanted to work with, right? So I've added the API name of the code. It's not there out of box, so you might have to go and click on new and add it. So that's why you can see it here. If for whatever reason, if you're not able to see it, that's the reason why. Okay. All right. So I will say partner discount greater than 10%, right? Don't forget to activate it. Choose this code approval step, which could be. I'm not talking about approval chain at this stage, so for now, just forget about it. You can create a template to link it to it. I'm not concerned about it at this stage, so what I'll do: approval recipient, record owner, initial submitter, and this the same record owner, initial submitter. Yeah, and I'll say save. Okay, so that's done. Now I'll go here. Now I create a approval condition. So obviously, you set up, you put up a rule on an object. Obviously, you want something to happen, right? Obviously, the this whole process to be triggered based on something, right? So that's exactly what we're going to do here. So what I'll do, I'll put index here, and so approval condition, right? Tested fields. Now, when you come to tested fields, you must be thinking, I can't find any of this information here, right? Except these two, three fields. So that's pretty simple. So go to the approval condition object, go to the tested field, right? It's a pick list. Okay, I'll just show you anyways, so it's easier, right? Okay, so I'll just go approver condition, yeah, and I'll go to field and relationship, and I'll just go to the tested fields, and I go to tested field here. Pretty fantastic, right? And then I've added, where the heck is it? Okay, I've added the field name. So I got this field name from a code object. So these are the field API names of a field and a code object. That's a partner discount and distributor discount, right? So yeah. Okay, so I've added that, and I'll choose a partner discount. Okay, now what do you want with this partner discount? Okay, I want it to say greater than, okay, greater than. Value should be greater than 10. Then you should fire this condition. Okay, it's pretty simple. Nothing fancy there, right? Okay, now what I'll do to test it, I'll go to orders. Sorry, not orders, my bad. Code. Okay, so I'll go to the code here. So I already have a code here with a partner discount. Obviously, the partner discount is way higher. It's just 40%. So basically, that means that it should go to approval process, right? So how do you know that whether this code will be eligible for the approval process? It's pretty simple. You can look at the preview approval. So if I click on preview approval, um, you will see. Okay, all right. Unable to find the approval rule ID. Okay, that's fine. Something didn't work. Okay, that's fine. Don't worry about it. So what I'll do. That's the first time I'm seeing the error though, but okay, that's fine. So what I'll do, I'll just go to approver. Let's look at the financial approver, and I'll choose this guy as an approver, and I choose this. Everything is good. Just go to related, and so I'll do this. And next step, approval chain. This is a code. All condition met, and I said code owner, code submitter. And okay, that's great. Then I go to related list. I go here. Okay, and what I'll do, approval rule. This is a partner discount. And I said greater than, I want the value. Okay. That's pretty much it. Okay. Now I'll refresh it. Let me create a code and let's see. So I go to code and I will create a new code. Um, and I'll make it as a primary code, right? And I will say account, that's a school account. Um, I'll just put this as boys 30% and this one I'll put as 30%, right? And I'll save it, okay? And what I'll do, I will go to the edit lines and I'll add a few stuff here, right? I'll just probably add something. Okay, I do that. Add products. Okay, I'll add the Samsung phone. Okay, so that's pretty cool. And I'll save it. And okay, I'll save it. Okay, now let's see if it works. If not, then we have to find out what's going on. Unable to find the approval for rule ID. Let me see what rule ID is talking about. Okay. Approval rules. Okay, so what I'll do. Okay, so I will delete all of it. Maybe there's an existing rule that's in place, which is kicking behind the scene and it's causing a problem, right? I honestly don't care about any of this stuff here. Okay, so there's some old data that was causing a problem. Maybe that's the case. Okay, let's see. Do we have any approval already for this one? Okay, we don't have one. Okay, that's cool. So I'll go to code and I'll go here. Should work, hopefully. Okay, so there you go. So now you can see that this guy is the one who will be approver. It's because obviously the partner discount is greater than, so it will go to this person, right? So we'll submit for approval. Okay. Submit for approval. Let's see what happened. Okay, so I think that's submitted. So let me go to the setup. Oh yeah, I can go here. What's a big deal, right? Another screen. Log in. Right. That's fine. That's perfectly fine for now. So that's something I'm gonna discuss about in the next episode, right? What happens when you do click on submit? So there's something that needs to be done. So for now, this is all I wanted to show in this episode, anyways, just to show you how it looks like, when you have a code which needs approval, right? So next time we're going to look at the submit approval chaining process in more detail, right? So that's pretty much what I wanted to cover in this episode. I hope you guys have an amazing Monday. Adios.